Continuing in verse 5 of chapter 6. John writes, when the little lamb, again representing the Lord Jesus Christ, when the little lamb opened the seal, which one? Emphatically and specifically the third seal. I, John, heard again, he heard the sound from the third living being saying, you must go. And John writes, and I saw, or I perceived, and look, pay attention, a black horse, a dark brown or a black in color. This horse went out, and there was one sitting down on this black horse, having a balance in his hand. And the word balance is like a pair of scales with two pans or trays on either side suspended from a center being. So this was a scales as though weighing items against each other. It also could be translated as a yoke, as animals that go and are held by a middle or a center beam. In this context, this black horse has a rider on it, having a balance in his hand. And I heard a sound, or a voice, in the middle of the four living beings saying, a measure, that would be as a quart or a liter, a certain capacity, a measure of wheat. And of course wheat is used for food. And this measure of wheat will cost a denarius, or 1 denarius. And that was the price or payment for 1 full day's work. For a measure of wheat, it would be expensive to spend 1 full day's work or pay for food. That would leave nothing remaining for other items or for the man's family or his children. There would be nothing left over. But at this time, a measure of wheat is a denarius, and 3 measures of barley. Again, 3 would be more barley would be needed to keep a man alive. So 3 measures of barley, again used for food, cost a denarius, again a day's wage. And let you not treat unrighteously. Now the sound of the voice was saying, and let you not treat unrighteously the olive oil and the wine. To treat unrighteously would be to act unjustly or wrongly towards the olive oil, which was used for health, and wine also used for health. So we see that the effects of the third seal bring famine on earth. However, healing will continue to be made available to and for people at this future time. Now let's move on to verse 7. John writes, when the little lamb opened the seal, emphatically and specifically the 4th seal, I, John, heard a sound from the 4th living being. And this 4th living being saying, you must go. And then John saw, or he perceived, a green horse. Of course, the word green can represent fresh life, as the color of new plants. It also can refer to those plants which begin to fail and tend to discolor and become yellowish pale or darkening to that blue-black color. So this green horse went out, and one sitting down upon it named Death. And we know that a name is given to a person or thing to designate or describe its distinguishing characteristics, its quality, what it does. In this case, the horse went out, and the one sitting down on the horse was named Death. So the name given to the rider of this horse is Death. And grave them. Gravedom is the continuing state of death. So first of all we have death, the name given to the rider, which is the end of life, referring to the natural or physical life. And gravedom, which is the state of being dead after death, used to follow in company and association with him. So here he was bringing to pass death, and as a result there was gravedom for those who died. And authority was given to death and gravedom upon 1/4 of the earth. To kill, that is, to put an end to people's lives, to cause their lives to be taken away from them, in a sword, and in a famine where they don't have food, and in death, that would be the natural or physical death, and by the power of wild animals, beasts of the earth would cause death. So we see that the effects of the 4th seal will bring death and gravedom on the earth, and they will affect many people. We read it was on 1/4 of the earth. Moving on to verse 9, John continues and he says, "When the little lamb opened the 5th seal, I, John, saw, or I perceived, underneath the sacrificial altar, that altar which was used to offer sacrifices to God according to his instructions." So when John sees it, under the sacrificial altar, he saw the souls of people. John purposefully writes the word souls and not spirits, because these people are dead, and therefore in this context, John can only refer to how these people existed prior to their death. They had a physical body with its soul or breath life. As I do, I breathe, I have soul life. That's what keeps my physical body alive. So John perceived underneath the sacrificial altar the souls of people who were slaughtered, and they remain slaughtered. Yes, they remain dead. On account of, why were they slaughtered? On account of the word of or from God, and on account of the witness, the attestation that they bore, which they used to have before they died. These people bore witness to the words of or from God. They attested with the information that they knew regarding God and the Lord Jesus Christ prior to their death. As John sees of the revelation, he says, "And they shouted with a great sound, a large voice, loudly saying, 'Until when, Master?'" And this is addressing God as a master, a despotes, the sovereign Lord or the absolute ruler. Asking a question, until when? What time, Master? And then he calls them the holy and true Master. Yes, God is holy. He is sanctified, set apart, and he is true. Absolute trueness is his consistency. He is genuine. So the question is, until when, Master? The holy and true Master. Do you not judge? Do you not make your decision or pronounce sentence in judgment and avenge? Carry out vengeance, revenge, execute the right or justice for our blood, the shedding of our blood, the fact that we were killed, our death. Out from, or from the people dwelling down on the earth. So the question is asked, how long do we remain dead until you execute judgment on those who killed us?